Hello, everyone. Um, Welcome to an interview with Nafiye, dear Nafiye. How are you, Nafiye?
I am doing great. How are you doing, Gülümser?
I'm good, thank you very much. Um, Before we start the interview, let's introduce ourselves. We can start
Mhm.
with Burçin, if that's okay.
Thank you so much, Gülümser, and nice to see you, Nafiye. It's exciting for us to have you on this interview. We would like to talk about you and some great news you're going to give us tonight. So, Burçin here from Queensland Turkish Women Association. I'm the president. I'm looking forward to hear from you and the updates, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Awesome.
Hello, this is Gülümser. I'm Vice President of Queensland Turkish Women Association, and we are really excited to have you here today. And we would like to know you better. So, could you please introduce yourself and explain what you do as a life coach and also yoga instructor?
Yeah, of course. So first of all, my name is Nafiye. Hello, everyone. I'm genuinely very excited to be here. So first of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you all and hope to bring more awareness today, whoever listens to us later. So yeah, my name is Nafiye. I am a transformational coach and yoga teacher. And I was born in Turkey and I was actually raised in Turkey too. And I left Turkey when I was 25. I moved to Canada first. I lived in Canada about 4 years. I became banker in Canada and then I studied maths in Turkey. So I had multiple different professions in my career. And yeah, so I started my career as a teacher, then I became banker. But when I was in Canada, I got really depressed because I was alone. And I think I had really low self-esteem and self-worth. Therefore, I met my mentors that way. And I'm so grateful that I got into depression because otherwise I wouldn't have chosen this path. And yeah, so my yoga journey started the same way. And then after 4 years of living in Canada, struggling with cold weather, I was like, what am I doing here? I'm not happy. Then I moved to Australia because I love summer. And then it's been 4 years in here so far. And then I kept being a banker first. I was working at Westpac. And then after finally taking the leap and then trusting my intuition, and I resigned from my corporate job, you both know. And yeah, now I'm actually living my life and basically following my passion as a life coach and yoga teacher. And
That's
to answer your question, what do I do?
Mhm.
So, what I do as a coach is I help people to basically identify the blocks that have been holding them back from whatever they want to achieve on a somatic level, emotional, mental, behavioral, and unconscious level. So, in 5 different levels. And then after moving those blocks, we are actually creating aligned action together towards their goal. So that's what I do, and it can be in professional life or personal life. And whatever you want to basically transform, I can help you with that. Then, as a yoga teacher, yoga is known as a physical exercise, which is not true. Yoga is a way to connect to yourself, get to know who you are more, and then basically have not only physical but also emotional flexibility and strength. And so that's what I do basically through yoga. I find them quite similar, but also different. But the end goal is the same, just having more and deeper connection with yourself.
Well, the things that you are doing
So
is amazing. So, as a woman, I'm really proud of you to have a friend like you. And it is not actually for the ones who are listening this interview right now. It is not the first time Nafiya is with us for the first time. So we organized a workshop with her previously. It was the be the
Aynen.
authority on your life. and it was amazing. It was fantastic. And I also, I mean, like personally, I joined one of other workshops. It was like an online workshop. So it's really nice to know you. And yeah, I think we can continue.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, it was great to have you in the workshop, I remember. And I
Mhm.
actually remember you joined twice and you made so many incredible changes. It was just
Yeah.
so lovely to watch you. I was so amazed. Yeah, your
Thank
dedication
you.
was really incredible, though. Yeah, you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
That's
Um,
lovely. Nafiye, we will deep dive into the subject you're an expert. Before I ask the second question, maybe I want to ask a personal question first, because I believe um, being a woman itself, being an immigrant itself is already something that you feel like you have this diverse background and diverse gender, and all the things in the world and in Australia that we are promoting inclusion and diversity and everything. How do you see the career development? What have you done to become this level and have
Mhm.
this success in your life? Because sometimes people think you didn't really know anything, you just naturally start playing with yoga and then you learned it, and then it doesn't work like that, right? So you need to work hard. And
Oh,
I think it would be nice if you tell us a little bit about that. Of course, we have some more exciting questions for people to know, but
oh,
this is something I feel like will inspire people. It will be nice to know about it.
Oh, definitely. And I really appreciate this question very much. I really want everyone to know that no one is born perfect and no one is going to be ever perfect either. And honestly, the path that I've gone through and my childhood was like, oh God, it was terrible. I could say that. It's so sad to say that. I mean, I'm happy right now because I can definitely hold such a special, such compassionate space for my clients because of my past, because I genuinely know how they feel. I don't need to try to have empathy because I was there. So for me, the path was pretty hard. I grew up in a separate family, and my dad was in Iran, my mom was in Iran, and I grew up with my grandma. And from my grandma's perspective, having a shelter above my head and my not being hungry, having the food was enough for her. But emotionally, I was so hungry and I always felt so scared. I always felt this fear of doing something wrong. And yeah, so I never felt safe in my home environment and I never felt enough. I always felt like I needed to do something so that I wouldn't be burdened to them. So even like as simple as having a dinner, I could feel like I should do something to deserve that meal. And it was like, I don't know, I was like 7 years old, you know? It's like such a hard thing to feel for a 7-year-old kid. And I know that Gülümser, you have kids. I don't know how old they are, but imagine for them
Yeah.
to feel that way,
Mhm.
right, in a family environment. It is hard. So for me, it was really hard. And then, of course, I think the reason why I'm really passionate about self-worth is because I had a very low sense of self-worth. It reflected on my relationships so much. In my friendships, I wasn't able to speak up. I wasn't able to show up as I am, as I was, and I wasn't able to create really healthy romantic relationships either. I was like, staying with people who didn't treat me the way I deserve to feel. I wasn't treated that way, and I still stayed in that kind of relationships. And then I wasn't able to ask for the income that I wanted to ask because I didn't have that self confidence. And then I always felt like I needed to show up in a certain way physically so that I would feel included. And I think the main one was I was always so hard on myself. I was always like studying so hard, pushing myself too hard, never having fun along the journey, always like so attached to success because it was the way that I received love and attention in my family. So like there are so many stories I can share, but all I'm trying to say is within that 8 years of journey, it took literally 8 years. It doesn't have to be this long, but It just doesn't happen overnight. That's all I'm trying to say. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that it is not easy to change. It is easy to change, but you just need to take that first step.
That's great because I remember you said you did work with some famous people in Turkey to understand being a life coach, and then you went to Bali. You have done many other things to train yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's
Oh,
almost like another university education, but it's because it's a different modern type of training that you need to do. Some people doesn't know. Some people thinks that you
oh.
just feel it and you do it, but it doesn't work like that, right? So it's another
No, no, no.
career you did work on. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's
Thank you for mentioning that too. I would like to mention that as well. It is not like reading only 3 books and then calling myself life coach. It wasn't like that. So the first program I joined was 2 years program, and then my yoga teacher training was nonstop 200 hours I spent in Bali, and I got that certification. And now I'm actually on the second coaching certification because there is always so much more to learn, and I know that I can serve myself and the others better if I learn more. So I joined the second coaching program in February, and it's going to finish in December. So it's another year of certification, basically. And I know that it's not going to be the last one. I'm going to keep growing because growth is one of my values, and I genuinely give so much. I see the importance of growth. Yeah, so it just doesn't happen with a few videos or reading 5 books and then going to I don't know, like 12-week program and then just getting the certification now. Unfortunately not.
that's good to know. Thanks for sharing. So you almost already answered my question. So how do you define self-worth and how does it differ from self-esteem or confidence? So you
Mhm.
touch base already, but it will be nice to um,
Of course. So
elaborate on that.
yeah, self-worth is basically the way, okay, so self-worth is a core belief that we all have. I mean, I hope we all have, but deep down we know. So what it means is knowing your value regardless of your title, your external look, your profession, your background, your skin color, your relationship status, anything, regardless of all of it, knowing that deep down, it's an internal knowing that you are worthy, you are valuable as you are, just because you exist. So you don't need to prove anything. Just because you exist, yes, you are valuable. So that is the main perspective of self-worth. But self-esteem is little more narrow. Self-esteem, like it can sound like, yeah, I like myself. Like you liking yourself the way you are in your workplace, in your friendship, in your social settings. That is, I would say, self-esteem. So it can fluctuate based on situations. Sometimes when we change jobs, change career, change countries, it can change as well. And self confidence is little more narrow than the self-esteem. So it is the belief or it is the trust in your ability for certain skills. Let's say, and it can be different for different parts of your life. You can have a really high self-confidence in your workplace while you have really self-confidence in your romantic relationship. The way you show up in your romantic date, let's say, very different than the way you show up in your meeting at workplace. So it just differentiates based on the part of your life, I would say. So the big picture is self-worth. Little smaller is self-esteem. Little smaller is the self-confidence, I would say, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense. It makes it more clear to me now. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Even to make it more clear, if I were to say statements to make it more simple, self-confidence say, yeah, I can do this. Self-esteem says, I like myself. Self-worth says, I deserve to be here just because I exist. Like I don't need to prove why.
Unnatural. Yeah.
I like
Yeah,
these
so
these kind of clear explanations, so it makes like more sense. So thank you for
yeah,
that.
I agree. The simpler is the better.
Yeah, simple is better. So I have a question, Nafiye. I would like to ask a question about external validation. So, in your experience, how does feedback from others, whether it's a praise or criticism, influence like someone else's sense of self-worth? And
Mhm,
like what strategies can help someone become less dependent on external validation?
mhm.
So
This is
yeah,
such a good question. This is such a good question. Thanks for asking. So, receiving praise is obviously is going to increase your self-confidence, right? Because you are going to hear something that you received a compliment. It is great, definitely. It is amazing. And if you have a high sense of self-worth, you are going to be able to receive it anyway. So thanking and receiving it, but not being um, not being attached to it instead of just waiting from outside all the time. That is a tricky part of just receiving it often. It's going to almost make you attach that external validation. Then you are going to almost forget that you could actually enforce that feeling and you can actually tell yourself whatever you achieve, you can actually recognize your own small or big achievements in daily basis. So from my perspective, if you want to be less reliant on praise or external validation, I would suggest everyone to maybe set 10, like 30 days goal, maybe just celebrating small wins of the day. Like, hey, I'm proud of you. You did this today. Like, it doesn't have to be big. It can be as small as you woke up today to go to work. You felt like, excuse me, shit, but you still went to work. So like it's a big deal for that day, right? So you can definitely celebrate the small wins. That would be little strategy I would suggest. And I'm thinking, yeah, so like if you want to be less attached to external validation, you will need to start giving that validation to yourself. That's number one. And around criticism, it is a little tricky. Of course, it would affect your self-confidence again, especially if you are receiving that so often. It is very tricky in workplace, let's say. Sometimes, we have some managers, unfortunately, they just see the negativity or what is not working. They keep telling you, criticizing you. Those are really not good feelings, and those environments are not good to work either. But what I would suggest everyone is, I think being honest, like, is there any truth in this criticism? Like, is there any opportunity for growth? Can I actually take something out of this? And knowing that it has nothing to do with your worth because your worth is not even related to your skills. So knowing that it is not a judgment to your being, it is just a judgment to your skills, and skills can be improved, right? So making that differentiation, I would say. And also while you are doing that, being really compassionate with yourself, because while your mind knows that yeah, they're right, I can actually improve this skill, but there is a little one within you still feels hurt. So just like holding your hand, I love that simple exercise, holding my hand on my heart. Hey honey, I know this hurt you, but it has nothing to do with us. We are just beautiful as we are. We don't need to do anything to change. You are just beautiful as you are, and I got this. You trust me. I'm here for you. Like, creating that safety within yourself and knowing that it didn't make any change with who you are. Everything is the same. You just need to take care of some skills, right? So that would be number one. Number two is being really honest and knowing yourself. Is it really true? Like, whatever that criticism you received, does it actually land on you? Like, do you feel it? If it's not, then let's say I love being loud. I love being an energetic person, and someone projects that on me and say like, "Hey, you're just too loud." But for me, I love being loud. Who cares? This is just who I am, and I love being that way. Then just being true to yourself. Hey, this is what I like. Sorry, like setting that boundary. So I think the point would be just being honest to yourself. Is it really true for me? If it's true, then receive it for opportunity purposes. Also, still being kind to your inner child meanwhile, because that can still hurt.
Yeah, thank you. That's really insightful. And it's
Uh-huh.
interesting how like external feedback plays such a big role in shaping self-worth. Um, so yeah,
It
thank you
does.
for that.
You're very, very welcome. Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Yeah, I actually have a really
I
simple question, but sorry, Burçin, go ahead.
no, you asked question. I was just
No,
gonna
I was
make a
gonna give
comment.
a simple example to make it more grounded,
Oh, that would be
if we
great,
have time.
actually. Yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay,
Yes.
sure,
let's
sure.
do
Yeah.
it.
So, for example, when I was in Turkey, literally last time, it was only I think 4 weeks ago I arrived. And so what happened was we were talking, my mom, my sister, myself, and anytime you go around your family members, they can be triggering, right? Anyways, my sister told me that I was being just too blunt and too straightforward with her. I wasn't being gentle. That's what she said. And but from my perspective and experience, I didn't feel like I was being really like maybe harsh with
Direct,
her.
yeah.
That's what you don't feel like. Anyways, thankfully my mom was there. And then I'm like, Mom, like you from a neutral perspective, was I really harsh? And then she looked at me very kindly. She's like kind of acknowledging that, yeah, my sister was right. And then, oh my God. And then my sister said, you're always taking the defense, like you are not listening. And then I realized, as soon as I heard it, I was ready to speak again. I'm like, I took a moment. I'm like, she's right. I'm not listening to her. I'm actually just getting ready to be this defensive. It is just an old relationship pattern we had from all the way childhood, right? Anyways, in that moment, it hurt me so hard. Oh my God, like being wrong, like they were really right, and being honest to myself, receiving that criticism hurt me so much. I could feel in my tummy. I was like, oh, this is hard. Anyways, I sat on it. That's what I do with my clients too. I sat in that feeling and then I hold my hand on my heart. I said, my dear, I know you are worried that your mom and your sister is not loving you because they criticized you, but trust me, they love you so much. They do. Even if they don't, I love you so much. I'm here for you. This has nothing to do with you. It's all good. I'm here. And then, yeah, so after that little conversation with her, it started to soften. That's all that's looking for, little compassion. So, long story short, they were right, and I received the criticism, but I still held that self compassion to my inner child.
That's nice. There is maybe something that I learn in English as well. So criticism versus feedback is different. So criticism is usually applied in a negative sense and it makes people upset. But if it's a feedback, it's more constructive, isn't it? So sometimes when I have the conversation in my household as well, sometimes I raise that, hey, this is a criticism, it doesn't help me. Even if they are right, if there is a constructive feedback to say, hey, if you do this, it will make me happier because I don't like this behavior, it will help a lot. And I didn't know that. I never thought about that. So thank you for highlighting the fact that
That's
it
a
should be in a
beautiful
positive
reminder.
way. And sometimes
Yeah.
you're right. So sometimes we are wrong and we are not aware of it. And then when somebody says, it does really hurt. But
Yeah.
as soon as it is as soon as you receive the message in a kind of way, like instead of criticizing, more in a friendly or feedback type of communication. I find that it helps at work, it helps it in the house as well. So because it is already related to the next question, how do you suggest maintaining a healthy sense of self-worth during difficult life transitions, especially communities like us, like moving to a new country, changing jobs, relocating? How do you think we can, what type of strategies would you recommend for individuals navigating their life in a different lens?
Yeah. Yeah. This is a very good question too. Thanks for asking, and I hope this also serves. I think the number one thing would be the mindset. Looking at that difficult time as an opportunity for growth versus seeing a threat. If you are seeing a threat, then your attitude are going to be survival, right? You need to survive. But if you see from a wow, this is a beautiful opportunity to grow perspective, then the way you are going to show up is going to be different, and then you are going to get excited. You are going to be like, wow, imagine how you are going to come out of this, how much self-confidence you will be gaining out of this. So that in my experience, it helped me so much when I moved, because I basically created a brand new life twice in my life, other than my home country. So I'm kind of scared. I don't want to say that, but like I experienced enough, I would say. So yeah, I think the number one thing would be just changing your mindset and knowing that this is a beautiful opportunity for growth. Number two is, even though you know that it is beautiful for growth, just still being self-compassionate with yourself, because it is still painful, it is still fearful, right? You will still feel the fear. So just be really kind to yourself. That's what I was missing in the past.
Yes. I have another question for you, Nafiye. What
Sure.
are some positive signs that indicate someone is working on their self-worth? And
Mm,
what uplifting steps can they take to continue their growth?
sure. Yeah. So there are multiple signs they can actually look for. One of them would be they start embracing their flaws as much as they embrace their gifts. So they don't separate flaws and gifts, they hold them all together and they feel whole as all together. And also, very important one would be setting better boundaries. They don't have any fear of saying no anymore, or if someone steps over or crosses the boundary, they can easily say, hey, that's not okay with me. They don't feel as much fear. Even if they feel the fear, they still do it. That would be another one. And then definitely positive self-talk, the way they talk to themselves. If they make a mistake, they can be more compassionate with themselves. Oh, that's okay. I know it wasn't very good that you made that mistake, but that's all right. We are all human. We do mistakes. We make mistakes. Like, talk in really gentle way, as if you are talking to your best friend. And then another would be taking care of themselves emotionally, mentally, physically, way more than before, and putting themselves first, like before their kids, before their partners, colleagues, family members, like always themselves first and then the others. And then I'm thinking they have healthy relationships, like they don't keep the people who drain them around as much. They actually surrender themselves with the people who uplifts them more than drains. So that would be another one. And then also, this is very important one, they are able to ask help easier. Because when you have a low sense of self-worth, you tend to say, oh, I do all by myself, it's fine. You never ask for help. But when you have a high sense of self-worth, you are willing to get the stuff easier. You are like, hey, I don't want to make that additional struggle. I don't need that. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. I can just ask for help. So they can actually ask either professional or personal helps from friends or any professionals in workplace. Yeah, that would be the signs, I would say. And in order to maintain them, anytime they see that they are maybe like, of course, sometimes they will realize that, or they will notice that they are not setting better boundaries. Every now and again they will see like, oh, I didn't say no. Just, noticing that, becoming aware of it, and then just bring compassion. Hey, it was just, our part from past, still trying to protect us, but we don't need that part as much anymore. But that part also gets to be with us. They just don't have to drive our life. Then you just like take the next step and you say no, for example, right? So what I'm trying to say is, of course, you are gonna go back to your old habits every now and again on that process of change, but how you are being with yourself matters a lot. So are you being harsh on yourself and saying like, hey, see, like we even couldn't manage this one again, versus, oh, my old pattern just came back. That's all right. We are gonna learn, and then just, moving forward. So that would be the little key. And also just surrendering yourself with people who you would like to be like in the future. You want to have really good examples. If you keep seeing people who don't set any boundaries, or they speak themselves really negatively, you start normalizing them without noticing. So it is super important who you see, who you talk to often, because it will definitely influence you without you even noticing.
Thank you. That's
You're
really
welcome.
helpful, and it's really great to hear like those signs of progress. So, and I especially like your point about surrounding ourselves with the people who we rely on, and we would like to be in the future. And yeah, thank you.
You want to be inspired by the people around you. That's all you
Yeah,
want. And you also
yeah.
want to be accepted just the way you are. Otherwise, like, what's the point of having friendships anyway? Friends are the people we choose, right? Like, okay, family members are tough. I believe that we still choose them as a spirit, but it's another story. Like, it's so hard to change them, or it's sometimes hard to actually cut fully off. But friendships are totally different. You can change it. Just because you met them in your primary school doesn't mean you'll still need to have a connection with them?
Yes, that's
Yes.
promising. That's a good learning. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Can you please share a success story where a client made significant progress in improving their self-worth? Like an example, maybe.
Of course, I would love that. It's so funny because I have worked on self-worth so much. I have received so many people who actually are going through the same path as mine, and it's really good because I know how they feel, and it's so easy for me to actually help them. And I always share them my own stories to encourage them and let them know that they're on the right path. So I had this client. I still work with him actually because honestly, self-discovery is a lifetime journey. I still love discovering who I am every day. So this client of mine also works with me over, I think, 6 months right now. So when he came to me, he was working so hard. I can relate to him so much because he was a high achiever and he was working almost 7 days a week and just like being so hard on himself. And also, he didn't have a romantic relationship because he ended his marriage 2 years ago and he saw it as a failure. And also, in his past relationship, unfortunately, he received so many criticism, and then it affected his self confidence as well in relationships. Anyways, this little bit tricky place he was at. And honestly, it was after 3 months. I'm not even joking. After 3 months, he was working 4 days in a week versus 7 days, and he was making the same money, and he was already more peaceful because I helped him to basically detach his self-worth from his success. He was just trying to prove himself. If he's not achieving enough, then he wouldn't feel worthy. But when you are separating those things, then you don't need to prove anything anymore. Even if that pattern comes back, you are aware of it. So you change your steps afterwards, after that awareness. So yeah, he started working 4 days, worked 7 days. That was definitely number one thing that he was really happy about. Number two was him being really self-conscious when it comes to romantic relationship, and being able to ask someone out was a big deal for him. But he was able to ask people out after, and also he actually started to see this woman. I think about 2 months, if I'm not wrong, because it started very quickly. And then after 2 months, I kind of challenged him. I'm like, okay, like, where do you want to go now? Like, you guys are seeing each other for a while. Like, would you like to actually ask her to be more exclusive? So he was a little bit hesitant at the beginning, but he also knew that that was what he was looking for. And then I encouraged him, and he wanted to ask it like, hey, okay, yeah, we've been seeing each other for a while. Like, where is this going? This was also a big deal for him because you can hear rejection as well, right? But when you have a high sense of self-worth, rejection doesn't hurt as much because you don't attach yourself from what people say, yes or no, doesn't matter. Anyways, guess what happened? She actually said no. She said no because she said she's still thinking of this ex of hers. And then this was a very good situation for him because he was able to speak up for what he wants. He's like, okay, then I guess this is not gonna work because that's not what I want. I want a proper relationship. And he ended. And what he told me, and which was super, super insightful, was that he said if he didn't work that 3 months, probably he would have stayed in that relationship. He would have entertained that situation. Versus now, he knows his value. He's like, not what I want. I want something better. Then he was able to say no. So I think this was a big, big learning process for him. And yeah, after 3 months, he basically kept working, and now it's actually we are working on more in the business side of it. Yeah, so it's really cool. I'm trying to say is there is a way out, everyone. You don't have to live your life that way. Yeah.
That's a really good example. I liked it.
I was gonna say goosebumps.
Yeah.
I'm so glad
Wow.
to hear. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It is just all misunderstanding, genuinely.
Mhm.
Like whatever we experience in our past, in our family environment, we just made these assumptions and then we believed them, and that we basically created the whole story around that belief, and then we just never questioned. That is the number one thing we actually question first. Like, is this really true, or is it a belief that I chose to believe in the past? And then it starts with that simple question. Then once you wake up, you wake up. You can't sleep again.
I have one more question. Would you mind sharing a bit more about the upcoming workshop on the 25th of October?
Yay, of course I can. Yeah, definitely. So this is actually a gifted workshop. It's for free for everyone. It's going to be in English. So
Oh,
the topic is comparison. And in 2024 nowadays with Instagram, with social media, it is going even more crazier. I see so many people are genuinely like comparing their success, their physical look, how much money they make, their skills, their academical accomplishments, etc. So I'm actually going to run group exercise to heal that part, compares ourselves to others, so that we can actually embrace our authenticity. So that's going to be the topic, and it's going to be about like 90 minutes, I think, group workshop, and it's going to be for free. Yeah, via Zoom. Everyone can join from anywhere in the world. Yeah, so
well, I am registered as well for the
I was gonna
workshop.
say, yeah, me too. And when was it? 25th of October,
yeah,
Yes.
at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
Yes.
Okay, we will share the
Yeah, you
details for sure.
the father.
Yeah, I would love
Yes.
to if I can make sure my schedule is okay. I'm working overseas as
Mhm.
well, so sometimes I work at night, but I'll see how I can change this for you.
Yeah,
Look,
that's all right. If you cannot join, you can watch the replay. Just let me know your email. I mean, you have it. I have your email, I think. Anyways, I can just send you the replay, and you can just do your own.
that's perfect. Look, I think people also is not sure what it is about, how they can ask questions, how you can help them. It might be an opportunity for people to listen and learn and see what they can do. So that's so exciting. I just want to personally say thank you for being here today. I want to express my sincere gratitude, as always, to you, Nafiye, for sharing your incredible journey as a life coach, yoga instructor, as well as being a mathematician. I must say, right? So these are your skills, and I'm sure there are a lot more. Her insights on self-worth and how it differs from self-esteem and confidence are invaluable, and I'm impressed again. And you provided us practical strategies to navigate external validation, maintain our self-worth during challenging transitions. Your success story is also, I think, a highlight. Is a successful career, having a successful career woman. I was impressed the way that you explained the transformative impact of your work, which inspire us all to embrace our authentic selves, which you used to use in the seminar we had face to face. So I was something that I authentic selves. It's sort of sits in me, and I try to remind myself. So thank you for that. I want to say to everyone, and I encourage everyone to attend the upcoming workshop on October 25th for enriching experience again. Thank you again, Nafiye, for your wisdom and dedication to helping others and find their purpose, because I don't think everyone can do that. And I really personally want to say thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you
Yes,
so
I
much
would
for
like to say thank you as well. So thank you, Nafiye, for your time and insightful responses during our online interview. We truly appreciate your valuable inputs and like the thoughtful perspectives you shared, um, like especially with your experience as a life coach and a yoga instructor. You have a unique approach, and your advices will undoubtedly contribute greatly to our understanding and growth. So it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you for having me. I really appreciate. Yeah, I think it is a beautiful opportunity to just wake people up to their potential, their truth and their authenticity. It is just so important. If we help each other to rise, imagine we are gonna all rise together, how beautiful it's gonna be. So I genuinely believe that hurt people hurt others. So they deep down hurt. If we can heal one another, then no one hurts each other, you know? So I genuinely want this for all of us. And I'm hoping that we can, touch everyone one by one, one heart at a time.
That's so nice. Thank you so much. Yeah, we encourage everyone to attend the upcoming workshop on October 25th at 6 p.m. We will share the details with all of you. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Navier. Thanks, Gumsa.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.